Yeah.
So, well, hey man, it's great to meet you. I really dig the work that you're doing. And before we get into that work, I want to know first and foremost, 4 years ago, this pandemic was really kind of hitting a different level. We didn't know how long it was going to last, the ramifications. How did you ultimately make it through the pandemic? And how did it change the way that you operate now?
Well, it was pretty stressful in the beginning because, we didn't know how long it was going to last. And my business being a kind of face-to-face business where, we have, hundreds of people every week coming through the academy. And I didn't know. I mean, if this thing went on for a year, I was thinking, man, I could lose everything, so in that situation, I was trying to think of different options I could do to make something work. So the second week of the pandemic, I came up with the idea of writing my last book, The Yielding Warrior, and my goal was to write 8,000 words a week until I had 80,000 words. And I did that for 10 weeks. I knocked out that book, right? It went pretty quick. And I also started up my online program, and that's kind of how I pivoted and turned. And then it only ended up shutting down for 3 months, and we were able to get things rolling back here at the academy as well.
So, running in the academy, I want to know if I put you in front of a bunch of third grade students and it's career day and you had to explain exactly what you do on a daily basis, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Well, we're mostly an adult school, so we teach. We've got about 500 members, and we maybe 60 of them are kids. So not the the perfect kid teacher, if you will.
Yeah.
However, I would just talk mostly about the exciting part of martial arts and maybe a little bit of some martial arts stories that try to try to connect with them, I guess.
What did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So how did getting into martial arts and teaching, how did all of this happen? Take me back to where you were born and raised and the seeds that were planted that grew into you, not only doing that, but being an entrepreneur.
Well, I was raised in a small town on very limited means with a single parent. And, we grew up on food stamps and, HUD housing and, not very many opportunities. I was the first kid in my entire extended family to go through college. I went through school. I got 2 degrees in less than 4 years. I worked pretty hard, joined the Marine Corps before school. That kind of got me motivated. When I got out of school, my whole family was thinking that I was going to do something important and get some big job doing something in, I don't know, in business somewhere or something. And uh, I had a teacher back then who always told me to create a life and not make a living. And at the time, I was really into martial arts, and I followed my path into the meditative and the martial arts and started up this academy. Never thinking, back in 94 when I started this academy up, I remember telling myself, if you could just make $30,000 a year teaching, you got it made. That's all you need. And, I never would have realized that I'd have 15 employees and own my own building and, I have a pretty good success story. And that wasn't the reason I followed this path. I just did because I loved it and I was passionate about it.
So based on all of your accolades and where you are right now in life, who's been that hero or role model for you?
Fortunately, following this path, I've had quite a few of them and some really great teachers. When I decided to make my career out of martial arts, I've spent my entire last 30 years seeking out the best teachers in all of the areas that I train in. And I've traveled the world many times and been around some amazing influences and had some really great people kind of guiding me along the way. And so, I guess if I was to limit that to a few, I would have to say Sam Tam, Leonard Trigg, and Dr. Yang Jingming probably be the top three.
So of all of the people on the planet right now, if you can meet one person that's fascinating to you and hang out with them for a little bit, who would it be?
Ooh. Alive or dead?
We can do ghosts. Yeah, we can open the door.
All right. Maybe Gandhi.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the motivation for you every day to do the work that you do, to teach, to keep up with your practice, to do all of these things that you do to change people's lives? What is that for you? Not only to give to others, but to also evolve as a human being.
I've been teaching for over 30 years, and it's always been fun for me to take a competitor out and watch them do well and maybe win a title or win a belt or something like that. But since I started teaching the meditative arts, I've had numerous stories of people coming in that have literally changed their lives and got out of depression funk or learned how to get through anxiety that they feel. Or I've even had students tell me they were thinking about committing suicide, and this practice helped save them. And so teaching the meditative arts and being able to help people find that positive path and stay connected to themselves has really been my go-to and what motivates me. And for my own personal development as well, I have a meditation ritual I do every morning. I meditate throughout the day. I kind of live the life, and that's what the meditative arts is all about, is learning how to make it a way of life and not a hobby that we do once in a while. And that's how you really see all the benefits of the practice.
So what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Two things come to mind. One is to create a life and not make a living. And the other one is to live with consideration.
Yeah. So of all of these things that you've accomplished in your life so far and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
Creating the community here at the academy. I have students that have been with me here for 30 years. It's like my second family. I go on away on a vacation with my family, and I'm kind of itching to get back here at the academy and see everybody. So, I really do enjoy coming in here, and there's a lot of great people here.
So if you have a dream tonight, you run into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you impart on that young version? And would that version of you listen?
I would tell him to remember to follow your passion and always do everything you can to improve every day towards that goal and to not get lazy. And I think if it was coming from an older version of myself, he would listen.
Right on. What's the greatest thing about living up there in Oregon?
I'm an outdoors guy, so I love being out on the water. Yesterday, I just took my son out. We went up on the Columbia River and did some smallmouth bass fishing, and I like being out in nature. So that's probably my favorite thing about the area.
So let's say we get off this call, a time machine pulls up. You can get in it and go back in time and see one event in human history, or you can go into the future and see what's going on. Where are you going to go?
If I could even go back 100 years and just come back to this area with a fly rod and go do some steelhead fishing, I'd be a happy guy.
That's a great answer. I think about that with this town too. If I could just go back to when Kansas City, in the 20s was a heyday, the Paris of the Plains, and just stand on a corner and just listen and watch, it would be crazy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I even think about in my lifetime how much how far we've come from just solid state technology to the fact that we're
Yeah.
trying to colonize Mars. It's quite a leap.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy how things have developed over the last 40 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lightning fast. So even looking into the future, say 50 years from now, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be probably more like the Jetsons than it is now.
Yeah, I don't think we're too far from seeing flying cars toting around.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when Amazon was going to hatch that thing where they were going to have drones fly things down, but I don't know if that might be a little bit too chaotic to have things flying around above us all the time.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I don't know. I see it coming. I think that something something's out there like that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people trying to make those flying cars, and I see them all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. Everyone out there has a perception of you. Family, friends, all of your clients, everybody that you run into has an idea of who they think you are, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm a pretty disciplined guy who has focus and desire. And, first and foremost, I want to be a great father for my kids. I love being dad. That's kind of, every free moment I've got, I do to try to savor every last minute I have with them before they move out of the house. And, you know, I, I want to do the most for my students, and that's what motivates me to continue training. I've been training for over 36 years, and I'm still just a student. I'm learning all the time, and it's fun for me to do that. But part of what motivates me to do that is that I can offer more to the people that are coming in here and be a better leader for them.
So, Jeff, if anyone wants to get involved with your academy, learn more about what you're doing, reach out, any of the good business, where do they go?
They could go to theyieldingwarrior.com, and that would give them access. You could get a free copy of my book there. You could check out my online programs there, my teacher training program. If they're in Portland, Oregon, they could come here to my academy and check us out here.
Okay, excellent. Jeff, this has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time, and continued success with everything.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.